Welcome everyone to another week of the Focus TV. Join as always, we have Octavia Wyatt, Raymond Lyons, Cardell Dudley Jr., Wilson Tarbage Jr. And again, welcome to season 6, episode 9 of the Focus TV. Octavia, we're going to get right to it. Super Bowl is here. It's later this week. Both teams arrived in Arizona. Um, you know, I guess here's our Super Bowl preview. Your thoughts into the big game, final NFL game of the year.
It's crazy that the Super Bowl is basically here. I'm not really. I don't know. Like, I haven't really accepted that it's here yet because, like, I think once the week continues on and they actually start practicing, we get more reports of injuries and getting closer and closer to the day. I think it'll really hit me more. But the fact is, Super Bowl is Sunday, February 12th. And like you said, both teams arrived in Arizona yesterday. They had not yesterday, I think they got their Sunday afternoon. And they had their first media day yesterday, which was kind of weird. I don't think that they've had a media day in the last two Super Bowls. So it's kind of weird again for me to watch it, to hear like some of the like ridiculous questions that they were asked. And I think like they asked Nick Sirianni, like, is the Super Bowl a must-win game? And he was like, uh yeah. It was just kind of like weird. But yeah, so I mean, there's so many different storylines in the Super Bowl, from it being the quote unquote Andy Reid Bowl, from it being the Jason and Travis Kelsey Bowl, from there being two teammates who are playing on two different teams this time that won a state championship together in high school with AJ Brown and Willie Gay. There's just so many different situations. I mean, Nick Sirianni used to be a coach in Kansas City before Andy Reid got there, and Andy Reid didn't retain him. So there's so many different storylines in this game, and I just think that that's kind of like the backdrop of it. But at the same time, to me, these teams are really evenly matched. I know it's a lot of changes, and a lot of people have different opinions when it comes to it, but I personally think these teams are pretty evenly matched in certain areas. Some cool stats that I learned about the Super Bowl that's going to come up. Chiefs versus the Eagles is the number one team in pass block win rate versus the number one team in pass rush win rate. So there's so many different things about these teams that are literally lining up to be like identical. The Chiefs this year, their record was 16-3. They scored 546 points. They had 6 All-Pros, including the Kelsey brother and their quarterback, and they were the AFC's number one seed. Philadelphia Eagles were also 16-3. They also scored 546 points. They also have 6 All-Pros, including the Kelsey brother and their quarterback, and they were the NFC's number one seed. I mean, I know the whole story going around right now is that the NFL script got leaked. And I'll be honest, the memes are funny, guys. The whole thing, but this to me was kind of crazy to read. Just how identical, the accolades that both teams received throughout the year. Another thing, Kansas City allowed a touchdown on 67.3% of opponents' trips inside the 20-yard line in the regular season, which was ranked 31st, and they were the only team among the bottom 6 to make the playoffs. On the other side, Philadelphia's offense scored touchdowns on 67.8% of the red zone trips, ranking 3rd in the league. Also, the Eagles led the NFL, of course, with 70 sacks in the regular season and finished with a sack on 12.6% of opposing pass attempts. Of the teams in the top 10 in sack rate, Kansas City has only played against number 7 Seattle, which they won 24-10, and number 8 Indianapolis, which they lost 20-17. The sack rate is the best in the league, and they will need that to get to Patrick Mahomes. I think some of the keys to the game is going to be Patrick Mahomes is one of the quarterbacks that can get the ball out the fastest. He's ranked pretty high with that. But of course, the Philadelphia's front four is pretty good with getting to the quarterback. So they're going to have to get the ball out pretty fast if they're going to plan on throwing the ball. Granted, they're a little bit, I don't want to say weak, but they have a lot of injuries at the wide receiver position right now. McCole Hartman, who hasn't played, but they have officially put him on IR. Kadarius Toney, I believe, has an ankle injury, although he said he's already going to play. Juju Smith-Schuster had the knee issue. And then also somebody had MVS also had an injury as well. So they have a lot of people that are coming off of some injuries as far as in the wide receiving core. As far as injuries for both teams, Avonte Maddox, who's the corner safety, excuse me, he played in the last game after being out for a while with the toe injury, but at the practice before they left to go to Arizona, he was seen in a walking boot. So waiting to hear about what status he has on that. Of course, the most talked about ankle in the league right now, Patrick Mahomes still has that high ankle sprain. They did confirm that the injury is, of course, a lot better than what it was the last time he played. But of course, it's going to be hard to, come into to really think that he's going to be 100% for the Super Bowl. But I'm sure he's going to play like he's 100%. Landon Dickerson for the Eagles on the offensive line. He also had an elbow injury in the last game. He's slated to play as well. Quarterback L'Jarius Sneed for the Chiefs. He just cleared concussion protocol today. So they're happy to get him back on the backside of the defense for them. I told you McCole Hardman, he's been placed on injured reserve, and they've actually activated Clyde Edwards-Helaire off of injury reserve. So he's set to play in this game as well. So they have a lot, they have a lot of injuries, but they have some people coming back as well. So they're, I'm sure everybody wants to play in the Super Bowl. They don't really care if their arm is falling off. They're going to try to get out there and do their best. I really think the game is going to be controlled on the offense and defensive line of scrimmage. Both teams have really good offensive lines. Granted, this is going to sound biased, but I think the Eagles' offensive line is a little bit better. The defensive line, Chris Jones, I think, was the highest rated at his position this year. But everybody else wasn't that high. So on the other side, the Philadelphia Eagles front four has played amazing all year. They have 4 players who have double-digit sacks: Sweat, BG, Hassan Reddick, and Javon Hargrave. So they have a lot. So if they can get to Patrick, it's going to be a long night. But if Patrick and his running backs can run the ball well, that's still always been the Achilles heel of the Philadelphia Eagles. If they're going to be able to stop the run, Isaiah Pacheco has been playing well as of late. And although we haven't heard from him in the last couple of games for the Chiefs, Jerick McKinnon, who was always an X factor for them throughout the season, he can run the ball, he can get the ball out in space, catch the ball, and score. He had, I don't even know how many touchdowns this year where he was able to do that. And then we all know Travis Kelce is the anchor. They're going to have to keep a body on him at all times, make sure that he's accounted for as well. And then we know that Patrick Mahomes can escape. Granted, the ankle might not be 100%, but we saw what he did against the Bengals, as well as he's had 2 weeks off now, so the ankle's been able to rest. And I'll be honest, I think sometimes the Philadelphia Eagles, they don't contain well, i.e. the game against the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields was everywhere. Now, granted, I'm not saying that Justin Fields and Patrick Mahomes have the same escapability, even though Patrick Mahomes definitely does have good running skills, but it's going to be a challenge for both teams. So I'm just looking forward to the game at this point. I'm trying my hardest not to be biased when I'm talking to you guys, but everything inside of me is telling me to just say we're going to win. But it's going to be a great game. Of course, the biggest storyline is that it's going to be the first time 2 black quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks, are going to be playing in the Super Bowl. To have another black quarterback win a Super Bowl, I think they said there's only been 4 that's done it so far, 4 or 5 that's done it so far. Hopefully Jalen can etch his name in there as well, as Patrick has already won one. But yeah, there's a lot riding on it for both franchises, for both quarterbacks, for the Chiefs being in their 3rd Super Bowl in the last 5 years, and only having one. So I'm sure that they're looking to get another one. For the Philadelphia Eagles, they're 2nd in the past 5 years. Didn't expect it. It could be the 2nd time that a head coach in their 2nd year for the Philadelphia Eagles go to the Super Bowl and win, after Doug Peterson did it in 2017. So yeah, there's just a lot that's going to be at stake in this game, and at this point, I'm just ready for it to happen.
All right. Before we move on, it's Cardell and Ray. You guys want to share any thoughts you might have on this year's Super Bowl?
Man, I'm just looking forward to a good game, no injuries. Yeah, man. Like Octavia pointed out, these teams are about as even as it gets. It just kind of seems like their strengths and weaknesses directly correlate. So it's going to be interesting, man. The person on the sideline is going to be extremely important. Yeah, I just want to. I'm just looking forward to a good game, which I think it will be. Given the talent on these teams.
Yeah, the same. I've been going back and forth. I can't really make a decision. Trying to do, be objective as being in the media. Put my Broncos hate for the Chiefs to the side. Just look at it. But no, it's like what Ray said. They're fairly even in a lot of aspects. Special teams, defense. The only thing, the advantage, kind of got to look at my homeboy, man. He just got some issue with him that nobody else has. And that's what Jalen Hurts got to try to do. He got to show and prove, like, I got that too. And, this is a big opportunity to do so. So going in, you got to look at that aspect, man. Even though I think the Eagles' defense may be slightly better, you know what I mean? But what defense has Patrick Mahomes not seen or beaten before, you know what I mean? So, and he's been there and done that, been on the Super Bowl stage, you know what I mean? So that's kind of the difference, I think, going into it. But who knows, you know what I mean? Like what was the playoff, like the 49ers game, anything can happen. Key injuries go down, it's a wrap. You know what I'm saying? I hope it don't happen. I don't wish that on no athlete. I don't play around with that. I hope everybody's healthy. Even Mahomes, he was banged up. Just hope, I know I read the article. He said that the extra week is definitely helping him, get back to his normal self or closer to his normal self. So hopefully, everybody's healthy and everybody can be full strength when they rumble. So it can be a clear, like, decision. You know what I'm saying? Where it's no like, damn, man, what if? You know what I'm saying? What if so and so was healthy? What if so and so didn't get hurt? But I gotta get an edge to Chiefs because that's sole reason, because of the experience.
Yeah, like you guys said, I just really want no injuries. Let them rumble. Whoever comes out on top comes out on top. Like you guys said, there's a lot of strength against strength in this one, and for all those, just like in all sports, we're in 2023 and everyone thinks there's new everything. How about that? The line of scrimmage matters when people are building these teams. That's how these teams are here. How we got here, the Final Four teams. Only one was kind of bad on the line of scrimmage in Cincinnati. The other three were solid on both lines of the scrimmage, and it took them there. And like you said, Cardo, obviously, hey, what I don't do, I saw in Octavia before we got on, I don't bet against the fat man. I don't bet anyways, and I don't mess with Mahomes. Like, I seen what he did personally. Took my heart out. I already know what it looks like. So for the Eagles, finish the job. Finish the job. That's all I'm gonna say. Whatever, even if you get up, 10 points ain't enough. Just finish the job. Run through the tape. He's one of them dudes where you have to put them in the box and see it. Otherwise, hey man, you leave the lid open, they're gonna get you. But again, like you guys said, no major injuries. I don't want that feeling some folks had in the previous round where, regardless of who won, we didn't get a chance to see both teams go at it full tilt. And I definitely wouldn't want a Super Bowl to be decided like that. Like, that's all I want. Looking forward to it. Go ahead, Cardo.
Before you move on, if Jalen Hurts does win, he will be the fourth black quarterback to win. Obviously, Russell Wilson, Doug Williams, and my homeboys. Those are only three. It could have been a lot more had they gotten the opportunity, but that's a whole nother discussion for another day. So, yeah, but to have both in there is just that's really the part I'm most excited about, because moving forward, I don't want to hear any stereotypes or none of that BS. Even though they're gonna try, I'm just gonna be like, nah, don't be just the Super Bowl. It's two brothers in there, so start with the nonsense. And also Wilson, my homeboys ripped your heart out. Imagine seeing them early and often. He's a killer. He's an assassin.
That's a fair point, sir.
Like you said,
once in a while, but
But like you said, if let's say the Eagles go up 21-0, keep scoring.
Keep scoring.
Like, don't
Keep scoring.
rest. Don't be like, we got this. Don't do that.
Keep scoring. Other people going to tell you, just run the ball and let time run out. Nah, we need kill shot after kill shot after kill shot. It's a lie.
I've seen this man put up 28-0 in the quarter on us with Von Miller. So, yeah, it can get ugly quick.
But again, the biggest thing here is look who can play the position at a high level. And I just want to say before we get out of here, kudos to the Eagles for ignoring everybody on the outside saying all types of outrageous things. And I don't know, it's a little old school. Letting your quarterback get better, and also to help him get better, you improve the roster. I know this is really crazy. It's really weird. But when you add more talent, it kind of helps. Shout out to them for doing so, man. Because a lot of times, like you guys said, we see this far too often. People give up on black quarterbacks too early, or they take them. And
Yeah.
the leash is different.
Yes, it is.
Like Blaine Gabbert's still around. Don't know how should it be. I'm old enough to remember when there was a Sports Illustrated cover, and they had the nerve to have that boy in the same cover as Cam Newton. I'm old enough to remember that. Outside of that, that's the closest they ever been. That's it. However, we were told many things. So I would just say, I'm speaking to some of the folks in my fan base because y'all special. Just chill. Look what happens. Relax. But Ray, the Wizards, man, the Wizards.
Yep, back in free fall mode. Yeah, man, I took an L to the Cavs last night, 113-91. Yeah, they, as usual, they just didn't show up on the defensive end. Cavs got whatever they wanted, inside, outside, punished them in the paint, bombed them from three. I mean, it was sad to see. I couldn't wait till the game ended so I can get home. But yeah, man, they're struggling right now. Given last night, Bill and Kuz didn't play, but even when it is, sometimes it's the same result, so you can't really put it on that. It's a culture issue, and it's up to them to dig themselves out of it. It doesn't take any type of otherworldly analysis to see what's going on here. No leadership, no attention to detail. They got a second-year coach. He's not working with much, all while still trying to develop and grow as a head coach himself. So it's a perfect cocktail for disaster, and that's what we're seeing in real time. So yeah, man. And they're paying somebody $250 million. So from the top down, it's a train wreck. So yeah, I mean, I know this sounds terrible, but if you've been watching, then it's really not much more I can say. Until they start playing better, then I'll have more positive things to report on. But at the moment, they're continuing to slide further down the standings. Yeah, we're past halfway through the season. We know where they are at this point. I think it's safe to say that we can forget about the playoffs, unless something drastic happens. But yeah, man, they got work to do. Not just even talk about in the moment, but just moving forward as a franchise, things got to change if they want to see better results.
Yeah, and again, reminder to most folks, it's trade deadline week. So, we'll see what ends up happening. Not to say Washington's buyers or sellers or whatever they have going on. It's their choice, and we'll find out if something does in fact happen. But in the immediate, they got 2 more games this week, 2 more home games this week. And, nothing's guaranteed, especially lose 10, win 3, lose 5, win 6, lose 3. It's been like that all year. So I imagine what Ray will have to talk to you guys about next week in the Wizard segment, because I think there would have been 3 games by then. But you're watching the Focus TV. We'll take our first break. We will return shortly. Welcome back to the Focus TV. You guys know what's next, college basketball segment. Carter, we'll start with you.
Yeah, this will be short and sweet. Duquesne came to the Smith Center on homecoming night, and with GW celebrating the 93 team, the Sweet 16 team that made, the team that made it to the Sweet 16. That was obviously coached by someone we know, Ed Myers. They shouted them all out. Ed Myers wasn't there. He was, helping his son Vaughn coach, but the majority of the team did come. The current team didn't do those guys justice at all, man. Duquesne came in there. It looked like Tyson versus Spinks from the opening jump. It was ugly. Look, the Colonials, they fought at first. They found themselves staying close midway through the first half, trailing 19-17. Thanks in large part to the hot shooting of redshirt freshman Max Edwards, who scored 12 of the GW's 17 points by himself. Then all hell broke loose due to a combination of turnovers from GW, defensive miscues, and hot shooting from Duquesne. They went on a 28-0 run to take a 47-17 lead at the Day Grant jumper with 1:36 left in the first half. Yes, a 28-0 run. Ricky Lendo Jr. stopped the bleeding with the three-pointer with 1:18 left in the first half. Although the damage was done, and GW, despite their fight in the second half, they didn't really quit. It was just so overwhelming, that run, that they couldn't recover, and they lost. They ended up losing 93-67. Even in the second half, like I said, GW fought, but it was more of a continuation of the high shooting from the first half from the Dukes. They shot 16-30 from the field, 4-10 from deep, 11-15 from the charity stripe to wipe out any possible threat of a comeback from the Colonials. GW was led by Max Edwards, who scored a team-high 15 points and 4 rebounds, while James Bishop added 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. Duquesne senior guard Day Grant scored a game-high 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. Sophomore reserve guard Quincy McGriff posted 17 points on 6 of 9 shooting from the field, 5 of 8 from three-point range. And senior forward Joe Reich went to work inside with 13 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks.
All right, for Maryland women, they had another week where they were busy. 2 games. They faced 2 top 10 teams this past week. First up, Caitlin Clark in Iowa on the road. And, we've been – one of the things I've talked about all year is Maryland starts. They got off to a slow start against the wrong team and the wrong player to get off to a slow start to. They shot 1 of 9 in the first quarter. Diamond Miller, the other thing along with a slow start, sometimes those slow starts coincide with her getting foul trouble early, which definitely just, compounds the issue. Caitlin Clark and Monaco Cesano combined for 42 points in the first half to give Iowa a 56-38 lead at the half. I want to credit Maryland for their response. You could have let go of the rope. They didn't. They cut the deficit to as little as 10 midway through the third, but Iowa is ranked 6th in the country for a reason. Not go just give up a 10-point lead, especially with that killer they have over there. So Iowa steadied itself, so no surprise. Maryland would cut it again down to 10 with about 4 minutes left in the game. But, Caitlin and company didn't relinquish the lead. Diamond Miller and Cheyenne Sellers led the way, scoring 27 points and 27 and 26 points respectively. Maryland responded to the loss on Thursday by putting their hands on Ohio State Sunday afternoon. Ohio State came into that game ranked 10th in the country. I'm sure they're no longer 10th as this week's polls come out. And the first time I think they played, Ohio State wasn't fully healthy, but it was Maryland's 3rd win over a top 10 team and the program's largest margin of victory against the top 10 team, beating Ohio State by 36 points. Diamond Miller had 29 points and 10 rebounds. Sellers finished with 19 points and 9 assists. Abby Myers had 22 points, 11 of which came in the first quarter where they got off to a great start. It was a heck of a response from Maryland. I expected them to play better against Ohio State. I wasn't shocked that they beat Ohio State, but to that margin, I was shocked. I did not expect that at all. The Terps are now 19-5 on the year. They're 10-3 in the Big Ten, which has them 3rd in the conference behind Indiana and Iowa. Up next, Maryland hits the road to take on Northwestern on Thursday, and then they return home to host Illinois on Sunday. So it's another 2 opportunities to keep stacking conference wins. The big thing for them is just no letdowns. We saw earlier this year, they beat a top team, and then there was a letdown. Why it was great to see them respond after losing to Iowa. Can't afford to get off to a slow start against that caliber of team. But again, I was impressed by the response. We'll see how things go this week, and we'll let you guys know next week. We're going to take our second break. When we get back, going to talk about some of the Mystics transactions in free agency, just some other notable ones. And then, we'll see what Cardell has for us in Rapid Fire this week. But you're watching Focus TV. We will return shortly. Welcome back to the Focus TV. As promised, WNBA. But they've been busy. Free agency officially opened. We've been giving you guys updates the last couple of shows. As for the Mystics, this is what they've been up to. They signed Brittany Sykes. They rescinded a qualifying offer to Rui Machida. They signed Shatori Walker-Kimbrough. They signed Tiana Hawkins to a training camp contract this time. They also did the same with Elisa Jenkins in terms of training camp contract. They traded with the Aces for the negotiating rights to Amanda Zawi for second-round picks in 2024 and 2025. An update to that transaction is that they did indeed get a deal done with Zawi today. It is for a one-year deal, so they have some depth. They added some depth in their front court. I guess we'll just start there. What have you guys thought about their transaction thus far? We know we haven't got to the draft yet. Clearly, the college season is still going, and free agency is still open. There could be moves they have to make still, but just to this point, what have you guys thought of it? And I guess we'll start with you, Ray, then Cardell, then Octavia.
I think those are solid moves. It's no surprise given who's making those decisions. Mike Thibault's reputation speaks for itself in that regard. But yeah, like you said, man, they added some depth to the front court, which they've needed recently. And I think adding Brittany Sykes was huge. Gives them another defender and a slasher and score on the other end. Her, Tosh, and Ariel playing defense, that's going to be tough. And I think they brought back Christy Tolliver as well. Just some more experience. Then bringing Shatori back, it's like just having people there that are, familiar with the culture and also were pieces of that championship team. I think is important, given what they have. Shakira had a pretty solid rookie season. So, it's going to be exciting to see, what kind of steps she takes next year. But yeah, man, I like what they're building. I like what they're doing. Of course, like you mentioned, they still got the draft to work with. So yeah, things could change even more between now and then. But I think they're one of those teams, that now they just constantly have lofty expectations. They're expected to compete. So yeah, man, I think they're making strides.
Good, Cardo.
Yeah, for me, I like the moves. Added and Amanda, and I think she'll help push Shakira, help speed up her learning process so she can. I think Shakira has all-star level talent, going against that in practice every day. I think it'll push her more and also give them some insurance in case, Shakira get in foul trouble, get banged up, stuff like that. And you also need multiple bigs. Now, it just is what it is with the teams, things going on with the Aces and Liberty. Hell, in their own conference, you need multiple bigs. It just is what it is, man. So I like that. I also like the, Sykes move, Christy coming back, give them some clutch shooting. And Christy going to kind of be the old veteran that's just hanging around. Y'all need me in the clutch. That's what I do. I hit those big shots. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to wear her down. Let Sykes and Shatori and Tosh and Ariel, let them do their thing. But when it's money time, put Christy in. You know what I'm saying? Because she's always been great in those moments, fearless. You know what I mean? She gets it done. You know what I mean? And that also adds depth to their bench. Last year sometimes when the bench came in, it was a little bare scoring wise. And with how dynamic they are, then Tosh and Ariel would have to come back in there, damn near play the whole game. You know what I'm saying? And look, Rui was was great in the Olympics, but you saw how the WNBA is a different game where they can get up in you more, bigger guards, more dynamic guards, and it was a struggle for her. So, clearly as she see, I don't know if she's gonna stick in the W or go back home, you know what I mean? But you could tell like it ain't go the way she wanted. You know what I mean? So, that's I think they just trying to get back to the core values of what they had when they won a championship, being deep, being versatile, and everybody having a designated role where it's like our bench can start on most teams, and we just overwhelm you with that. And I think that's how they're gonna beat kind of the teams like the Aces and the Liberty that are stacked, up top with the starting lineup, but the reserves you might be able to whoop them. You know what I'm saying? I'll play them to a great deal and get the W.
Right. Octavia, your thoughts on what the Mystics have been up to this free agency period?
Yeah, like they both said, I really like the pickups that they've done as well. As you all know, like I'm a definite proponent of defense, and I love when they pick up more defensive players. I definitely like Krista Tolliver coming back, like you guys said, having that vet kind of back in the building. I think it'll give it a good touch, and I'm very excited to see how Shakira comes back. From last season and playing overseas this year, I think she was in Israel. So to see how much she's grown in that period of time as well. And then, like you said, I'm sure there's going to be another big splash that happens in the draft. So just excited to see what else they keep putting together, because we know Thibault now, not coaching, he's only in the front office, so him able to just focus on building up a good team. Like I have no doubt and complete faith that he's going to pick the right players. And then definitely, like Cardell said, like they're going to have good depth, and then and having those people coming off the bench. And then EDD is apparently going to be 100% a go this year. Apparently had the greatest offseason that she's had in a while. So happy to see that she's going to be fully healthy. So I think if they get a couple more pieces and just kind of nail everything down, that like Ray said as well, like we expect them to be in the top tier every year. But it's definitely going to be a lot tougher this year. Definitely big bodies with the Breonna Stewarts and John Paul Joneses in New York, and the Aces, and Candace and Asia out there. So it's definitely going to be a good season. So I'm just looking forward to it.
All right. I was just going to share a couple other notable transactions. If y'all have any thoughts on them, just speak up. I couldn't get to all of them. We'd be here for a little while. Asia Dura training camp contract with ATL. Just happy to see her still sticking with it and getting a chance to get back on the court. Crystal Dangerfield signed with Dallas. Former Mystics center Elizabeth Williams goes to the Sky. Tiffany Mitchell from the Fever. She's now a member of the Minnesota Lynx. Shocker. Nicolina Milic to Minnesota. We had Courtney Williams to Chicago. So that's her and Kalia Copper together as they continue to add to,
And Emma.
Yeah, and Emma, considering they lost Candace. And Slutty's going as well.
Then Azura Lee.
Yeah, Azaree's going too. She's the Sparks. Yep. Had her in our second. Yeah, she's to the Sparks. Kia Nurse to Seattle. Like,
ain't the same without Slutty though.
No. It is. Boy, Jules looking around like the Fresh Prince meme. It looks different over there.
Hey, Kobe, that's her man.
Yeah.
Kobe 06 season, just go crazy. After Colorado, like, I'm just gonna murder the league. Though. Like, just go crazy.
I wouldn't be shocked to see her up there, and that scoring is somewhere between 28 and 30. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I would not be shocked.
Yeah.
She's gonna put them up.
She's gonna
put those things up. Like, and also just she doesn't get enough respect for what she does. Period. While Seattle's constructive, felt like sometimes she got overlooked. That said, Carter, what you got for us in rapid fire? It's been an so interesting week. Flat Earth is back to flat earthing. So here.
Oh man, where to begin? So much drama, man. Oh boy. All right, man. We're gonna start on the football side of things. Lawrence Taylor made news today, saying that Tom Brady, in his eyes, is not better than Joe Montana. Hall of Fame linebacker Lawrence Taylor is one of the greatest defensive players in NFL history. 10 Pro Bowls, an MVP award, 142 sacks. Obviously, he's qualified to speak on the game of football. But it's he was on I Am Athlete podcast, and when the question came up, who was better? He said Joe Montana is still my man. He said Brady played in a much more quarterback-friendly era than Montana, who won 4 Super Bowls with the 49ers. So I'm still with Joe Montana. I'm not going with Tom Brady. Tom Brady's got all the rules on his side. You can't touch him. If you hit him, if you breathe on him, they're going to throw a flag. I don't understand how he draws back 8 yards and he's sitting in a little cocoon and they're not sending people at him. Octavia, thoughts on Mr. Lawrence Taylor, LT?
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, what's crazy is the second take I've heard of this in the last week and a half. Mike Francesca said the same thing on First Take not that long ago. And if you actually break it down like the way that they did, it makes a lot of sense. And it's not to take anything away from what Tom Brady has done. I mean, even how Mike Francesca explained it, he was like, yeah, he played the best for the longest. I mean, he played 18 seasons, but he would say like this, I can see it, there's a lot of room for really good quarterbacks, in that realm. But like you said, LT said it, he's seen a lot of good quarterbacks. And like you said, being a defensive player, he can't understand how Tom is able to get the rules and the cushion and the help that he was able to get throughout these years, knowing how the defenses was back in the 90s and 80s and how they were knocking quarterbacks' heads off. And anybody that came across the middle, anybody on the offense, it was go time. So, I mean, I can't be mad at it. Everybody has their own opinion. I could definitely see that because it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. So I'm not mad at LC at all.
Ray.
Yeah, man. I mean, who am I to argue with Lawrence Taylor about this? But yeah, like Octavia said, man, there's validity in the statement. It's definitely it's a less violent sport. It takes a different type of mentality to stand there and make a throw, knowing for a fact that you're about to get clobbered. And again, not to take anything from Tom. I mean, he's in that conversation no matter what. But I mean, yeah, points were made, and it's not like he's just comparing some random guy. It's Joe Montana, man. That resume is pretty damn nice itself. So I mean, and it's not even playing the what if game. Like, what if Joe Montana played today? It's just comparing what he did under those circumstances to to what Tom did. But that being said, if Joe Montana was playing with the freedom of these guys, like man, I don't even like that dude might have a 6,000 yard season, man. But yeah, it's definitely something to it what Lawrence Taylor said, and again, it's not taking anything away from anybody. It's just the fact of the matter, and you've got to take that into account. Things are different, so yeah, man, it is what it is.
And don't forget, Joe Cool. Not only is he undefeated in Super Bowls at 4-0, 11 touchdowns and no interceptions, with the understanding that he can get Goldberg speared at any time. You feel what I'm saying? So, but Wilson, this is obviously your guy from your team. So, elaborate more. I see you smirk. Go ahead.
Hey, look, man. All I know, everyone's brave to step up into the pocket nowadays. It wasn't always that way.
No.
That's all I'm gonna say. You had serial killers coming down the pipe. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna be real honest. Sometimes you just threw the pick because you wanted to go home to your wife and kids. Those were the decisions. Do I want to see my children grow up, or do I want to step up and throw this 15-yard rope? And even if I do that, is the dude I'm throwing to, does he feel the same way I feel? Like those were the added factors in quarterbacking. Now it's just like, yeah, I'm gonna step up. What you gonna do? Touch me? Like, think about it. How many games we see ruined this year where It's a clean sack. You got defenders. They got to tackle the quarterbacks with their chest and they put their hands out so about some don't lean on them. They are 300 pounds moving at a very high rate. And now you want them to have outstanding body control? Right? If you still there by the time a 300 pounder get there, I feel like whatever happens to you is on you. However, it is what it is. But there are different decisions and variables in that. Again, you have people like Lawrence Taylor who, Lord bless his soul, we've seen stories, people seen videos. If you're not sure, just Google real quick, and I'm sure it'll get you right. Do you think people today, with these rules, would be so gung-ho about, you know how many people be checking out passes in the run plays? Dudes that play in this era? It's another 25 runs added. Ain't nobody trying to step up into that stuff. Like, those dudes coming to get them all look like they all look like just like supervillains coming off the edge. And then they didn't have to worry about slowing down. They can run through you. It was fine. They can run through you. Like Cardell said, Goldberg spear, if you're lucky. Some of them ran through with the clothesline. So, yeah, also, like Ray said, I'm not telling that man he's wrong about anything. He said the sky is green. He got it. I ain't messing with Lawrence Taylor.
Look, man, I always go back to these debates in sports, and I'm just like, look, if all things equal, did the person they say is better or whatever have to endure the same type of resistance, like go through the same type of adversity to achieve what they achieve? If the answer is no, then you have to take some points away from what they did. It is what it is. Now, look, and Tom Brady, to his credit, has spoken about this. He said that. Like, he said in an interview a couple years ago where he was just like, look, man, I get it. Like, it's safer for us to do what we do now. And he admitted it. You understand? And it wasn't that. And I heard somebody say, well, Joe Montana had Jerry Rice. Well, I'm like, Tom had Gronk. So I'm like, what are we doing here? And Jerry was still catching everything going across the middle. That's why, you hear Chad Johnson and Terrell Owens, they be talking, trying to bump T.O. and Randy, because like that's who I saw. I'm like, man, stop it. Just stop it. None of y'all do. For one, I love T.O. He has some butterfingers sometimes. Randy, he had his N-word moments. We got to call it what it is, where, he may show up. Like, he had his BS too. Jerry was the consummate professional. And Lord knows he's going to get it done. So, and Jerry even said it. When I got to the 49ers, I got Joe Montana thrown to me, dog. I got to be on point, or they will replace me quick. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to give the respect to players who endure more and still accomplish just as much, if not more, all around. It's not that hard. And leave the emotion out of it. It's no different like when you growing up in the neighborhood. Yeah, it's cool to hoop with your friends, but it meant something when you were young and you got on the court with the old heads. Mm-hmm. That meant you were advanced. And that meant you had game, like real game. Because they're not going to just bring in somebody else because they cared about winning. And that's just what it is, man. So I'm glad LT said it. That's why it's always when they be like Tom Brady, and then they be trying to say not only is Tom Brady the greatest quarterback of all time, he's the greatest football player of all time. That's about, hold on, dog. Chill out, man. Like, chill out with the greatest football player. Like, for me, it's Jerry Rice. You could say it's a defense player like LT. You could throw a lot. Like, bro, come on, chill out. Because he needed those receivers to make him look good. You know what I'm saying? He needed a lot. Where those other guys, they had to make plays. It's a difference. So, and at the end of the day, for you to be the greatest in anything, don't you have to be kind of a great athlete at that? You know, I mean, Tom, like I said, he ran a 40 an hour. You know, that don't do it. So, I'm glad LT said it, man. And truth is truth. You can't even argue the truth, man. But moving forward, yes, we got to tackle this. For the first time since he was traded from the Brooklyn to the Mavs, Kyrie Irving spoke to the media about the move. The star point guard expressed joy about joining the Dallas organization apart because he didn't feel like the Nets treated him properly. Quote, I just want to be places where I'm celebrated and not tolerated or dealt with in a way that doesn't make me feel respected. There are times throughout this process in Brooklyn where I felt very disrespected. After 3.5 seasons with the Nets, Irving requested a trade from the team on Friday. Last Friday, after contract extension talks reportedly broke down, Brooklyn found a trade partner in Dallas, sending Irving and Marquise Morris for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and 3 draft picks. Irving was asked to specify why he felt disrespected by the Nets, but he declined to answer the question. Quote, I think that's another day where I can really go into detail about it, Irving said. I'm not the person to really speak on names, go to someone behind their back and leak stuff to media. That's never been me. Ray, what's going on with your man?
You gonna put him on me, huh? God bless him and God bless the Mavs. Yeah, I mean, if you felt disrespected by the franchise, how did they feel? You know, you play half the games and cause all type of ruckus. So, what are we? What's the conversation we having here? But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, even if he feels they did whatever, I just have yet to hear about his part and whatever went on that wasn't favorable. So, you know, kudos to Dallas for willing to take that on. You know, I hope they got their their heart pressure medication on deck. Or, you know, maybe by some miracle he just keeps his head down and does his job. But yeah, I don't think anything's going to change given his comments, because he feels like he was absolutely blameless in the situation. So yeah, good luck.
Wilson?
Oh man, I wasn't trying to answer at all, man. Like Ray said, man, just good luck to the Mavs. It's a special type of person that can think about everything that's transpired in the last 3 years and separate themselves from it as if they were not at the center of it all. It takes a very gifted person, a very talented person to do something like that. It's just extremely disingenuous to me to have the nerve to get up there and say you didn't feel respected. Where, bro, anywhere else in life, if you have a contract and you don't fulfill it, and you come to work whenever you feel like it, you would have been sent home. The respect of your talent, aka your gift or whatever, is what allowed this to happen for 3 years. So don't tell me that wasn't respected. That's the only thing that allowed it to last this long. Was hoping that maybe just one day, you know, you'd act right for a little bit. And you acted right for 2 weeks. For 2 weeks. And that was like, pay me. For 2 weeks. Another quote, I think today, you know, he was like, I left the team in 4th place. Like, you also played a role in James just saying, you know what, get me out of here. Again, at the center of it. All you had to do was get along with that man until Kevin was healthy. You just couldn't do it. Literally, he's literally embodiment of that cartoon chart of this many 0 days without incident. Just walks around with it. In Dallas, man, bless your heart, man. Luka's leaving anyway, so I don't know why you're doing all this. Right? When he gets a chance, he's out. But if you feel like this is going to help you, so be it. That's great. I wish you the best with it. And I'm interested to see what happens, right? Because now Mr. Irving's done this several times in terms of leaving teams, right? And not so great in not so great ways. Where shortly after he leaves, some time expires and his former teams generally get better. So I'm just interested in seeing what happens. And also, you know how people love numbers and advanced splits and all that other stuff. All the worst pairings of the Nets when you had their stars together only involved him. The worst pairings always had him involved. So again, not to say he's totally at fault, but again, I don't know how you tell yourself that I'm a victim and all this stuff just happened to me when you literally did all this stuff on your own. But, you know, I'm not shocked. That's all I got. I'm not shocked. And again, good luck, Dallas.
I'll tell you.
I just really hope that now that he's out of said place that he didn't want to be and didn't feel respected, then now we just don't hear from him anymore. Like, I'm hoping that this is the end of it, even though I don't think it is. I'm just, fingers crossed that it is. But yeah, it's typical Kyrie. Like at this point, like I don't listen to much he says. I mean, yeah, I saw the notification when they say he got traded to Dallas, and I was like, wow. Shouts out to Joseph for not sending him to the Lakers. I'm just as petty. I'd have done the same thing. I'd have sent him to the Rockets. I wouldn't have cared. I'd be like, I'm sending you.
They did that too. I said that the other day. It's like I'll send it to the Rockets. I told you.
The Rockets. They got some young talent out there. Let me get Jalen or somebody like he'd have gone some. I'd have sent it to Detroit. Let me get Jaden Ivey. Somebody. Y'all look, he'd have gone somewhere that he would have hated it. That's how petty I am. So he's lucky that he was able to go somewhere where Dallas is in a good position right now. And then also, like, shout out to Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, he just went around the world for no freaking reason. Ended up back in Brooklyn. Went from Brooklyn to Washington to Dallas, like right back in Brooklyn because of Kyrie and all that mess. So I'm not surprised. I'm tired of Kyrie. Nobody respects me. Like, act like an adult, and then maybe somebody will respect you. Like, you can't just tell the man that's a billionaire and that's signing your checks that you just gonna come and go as you please. Now, granted, I haven't read everything into the whole stipulations of the contract of what was going on in that aspect of it. But at that point, sir, it don't matter. If I asked you to walk down the street in a handstand, you should, because of all of the grief that you done gave us over the past couple of years. And I think I also saw a notification that they pushed back the meetings about the CBA or something like that. They better push it up because it's getting weird. It's getting crazy out here. So I'm not surprised. Like you all have said, good luck in Dallas. I think I read a meme where it was like, he not gonna last long in Dallas either, because Mark Cuban gonna say this is my team and he gonna say something else. And y'all know how Mark Cuban is too. So I don't know. And I'll be interested to see how they play together. That's what I'm kind of waiting to see.
A few things. One, I'm kind of blown because I'm tired of Kyrie too, and Luke is one of my favorite players to watch. Now I got to see this fool often. That's one. Two, let this be an example to all these teams across the league. Stop kissing these players' asses. They claim that they know as much as they think they know as much as what's going on in the front office. Clearly, this is a great example that they don't. Three, the CBA, that when it really gets heated up later on, it's going to be very interesting. Possibly, I predict a lockout because something has to give. And fourth, Kyrie has lost his damn mind. He's delusional. Like Octavia kind of hinted towards, what other job in the world can you come to work 47% of the time and then come back and be like, yo, where's my raise? Like, where you do that at? Like where you do that at? Matter of fact, you wouldn't even had the opportunity to come back to say, where's your raise? You would be fired. You would be fired. Your scanner won't work to get in the building. They will call you if they call you. You probably just find out when you try to clock in to work, like, yo, what you doing here? You already know you gone. I don't even know why you came. Look, man. And then what makes it even worse, and we don't know the details of it, left your man KD high and dry after he vouched for you. And this is where KD got to take some responsibility. It's like that, like the DMX, that's your man's. You vouch for him. You vouch for him. And people are looking at Joe's side like, why didn't you just pay him? We ain't did shit with him. We haven't won nothing with him. He don't even come to work. What are we doing here? And I know Sean Marks and Sai are kicking themselves because they had a nice up-and-coming young team that played hard. They were in the playoffs. They were building. And they threw that all away to jump on the superstar bandwagon. And this is another example for a lot of teams. Look, build your team. Just because it's working for Cleveland with LeBron and all them, or maybe Golden State, they drafted well, so they got KD. Dog, that ain't got nothing to do with you. Keep building. Unless it's a superstar you can count on, man. Because it goes to show you a lot of these stars are just in it for themselves, and they feel like I got to get mine because we know the owners want to do this. Like, dog, by all the reports, they gave Kyrie everything he wanted. Everything. And he still shitted on him. And I'm looking around. I'm really paying attention to people that try to stand up for him because I know, like, if you standing up for Kyrie, I know not to deal with your ass because you just like him. I know to keep my distance. I know you a non-accountable fool. This is just not realistic, man. So I'm just waiting to see what it does, man. Like, I hope he don't, like, I'm glad Jason Kidd came out and said this is Luka's team. We gonna kill all that right now. But I hope he don't taint that situation, man. I hope he don't, because he's been a cancer ever since he's left, like Cleveland. Like, look at it, Boston, the Nets. It's just been destruction after destruction, man. And it all is predicated on how he felt. Like, dog, that one time when the Capitol situation happened, like, I couldn't come to work. I was too emotionally distraught or whatever. I'm like, fool, you don't think people that was in a Capitol fear for their safety? Then, they had to come back to work the next day. Why can't you go hoop? You a million miles away. You in a whole nother state. You wasn't even close to DC. And that's just the stuff that just blows my mind. And then the Jewish stuff earlier season, and then the nerve to say I left them in fourth place. Fool, they started winning at DC without your ass. Like, are you serious? KD got them there, and a bunch of some hungry young role players got them back in the mix. That wasn't you. That dude's the worst, man. I don't even see how people can really stand up for him, man. But it just shows you the times we in where everybody just don't like to be accountable, man. But we'll see, man. Like, I'm gonna be watching closely, dog. But if it don't go right, like Wilson said, Luka like, peace. Luka's gonna be like, peace. I'm out. Y'all tripping. And the thing is, they traded a lot of their picks and stuff for that too, and a lot of their depth. So we'll see how it goes. John Morant, he says he believes the Grizzlies are the most hated NBA team. Star point guard John Morant recently viewed his team villainous status by saying the Grizzlies are their team to beat in the Western Conference this season. Now, Morant said he believes observers on social media have turned against Memphis and that the Grizzlies are the most hated team in the league. Quote, we are. You see it on social media, Morant saying. Anything that has to do with the Grizzlies is frontline national television and national people putting it out. Anything else, it don't be said. The Grizzlies have lost 8 of their past 9 games, and Morant believes some people are singling out their struggles. I feel like we wasn't the only team on the losing streak, but we are the only ones mentioned, he said. Wilson, talk to your man, John. Man. Just talk to John.
Hey, man, I've been sick of them kids over there. It was cute at first. You talk too much, you don't win. This is what happens when you're a good team. Like, people talk about you. That's it. Y'all also don't make it easy because you go about your way to bring attention to yourselves. But that's it. I had no issue with y'all talking as much as you talk. That's cool. That's who you guys are. But that said, when you talk as much as you talk, when you're losing because you're so loud, you think people aren't going to find time to come see what's happening? Which is why the other nonsense going on with you, yes, they're going to talk about you. Sir, yes, they are. Your other teammates walking around, literally, we got an event stat for punching people in their jewels because that's what he does more than anything else. That's just what he does. So, yes, people can talk about it. Y'all act like that. That's why they talk about y'all. You're supposed to be one of the better teams in the West. You say you're one of the better teams, act like it. All that stuff you have, man, that big dude from Serbia is over there just doing what he wants in first place in the West. Y'all just a noisy little sideshow. It's the Nuggets, blah, 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 blah. Y'all make some noise. And, yeah, and also, they're not going to talk about the Lakers losing because, like, they're in 15th place, and they talk about the Lakers all the time anyways. Yeah, other people in the West lose, but this is what happens when you don't take care of business. If y'all are winning, it's fine. You wouldn't say anything. When y'all were winning, you didn't have any issue with the spotlight being on Memphis. Y'all are too good to be losing 8 games in a row. You want to get judged as a good team. Just like if the Warriors go out and lose 8 games in a row, we're going to have a discussion. Be honest, it's going to be a discussion. When Brooklyn and all their hijinks and what they're going through, discussions were had. Sir, get over it, focus on basketball, and get your team right. Otherwise, we'll be talking about you guys like we talked about the Clippers a little while ago, where it was a cute little story, and who cares? I'm already at that point, so hopefully y'all prove me wrong, but man, you just wasting my time. I'm sick of hearing about y'all. Win games. Like, take the jump. Otherwise, literally, you're going to be We're gonna look at you like people looked at the Clippers. Like, man, you remember when they were about to? Oh yeah, Steph and them got them. But y'all gonna mess around too? Steph and them do it again? Like y'all messing around the trade deadline. Guess who got 2 young players to shop? Keep messing around. Keep on.
And you bringing up Steph and all that. It's a young team that's been quietly creeping up the ladder.
Oh.
Them Kings out there, they quiet. They
My
quiet.
bad.
Young and getting better. They
There
may
you
be
go.
they get them up out of there and be like, damn, they just came out of nowhere.
There you go. You got the Kings right on your back, ready to be the Warriors to the Clippers, and y'all talking. The Kings are and y'all have been together longer than the Kings. Like the Kings just got right this year. It's been a couple of years of y'all. Shut up. Oop.
Octavian. That's your man, Octavian. Talk to him.
Look, first of all, I need Ja Morant to figure out if he wants to be a basketball player or a thug. Let's start there.
He ain't that. Not the pictures we saw floating around, dog. Like,
or I want to be thug. How about we say that? I need you to make up your mind. And yeah, like you said, the louder y'all are, the more attention you're directing to yourself. So of course they're gonna talk about you. First, you had the sideline scuffle with Shannon Sharp. Then you had this whole situation with the Indiana Pacers, and somebody in Ja's entourage is now being is banned from coming to games. You have Dylan Brooks keep, like you said, hitting people in below the belt. Y'all keep talking the entire time. It's just a lot. So, like you said, when y'all aren't winning, of course they're gonna talk about you guys. Like y'all talk so much about y'all being, the best team and everybody's after us, and we got a rivalry against the Golden State Warriors, but we only beat them once. Like, I don't know. I thought a rivalry, like, you're supposed to, like, to go back and forth. Like, I win some, you win some, but like they won like mostly all of them. So I just want them to just hoop. Like, that's what I want. I just want them to hoop, because I feel like they got like real big headed, like real fast. Because granted, I do think their team came along a lot faster than maybe a lot of us anticipated. Because they have a lot of good pieces, but the talking is outweighing the basketball playing at this point. So you gotta, in order to talk that way, like, I need y'all to be winning games as well. And we know how crowded it is in the West. Like, I think they said between 4 and 13 is like 4 games. So it's like as high as y'all are right now, like, y'all get on a bad stretch, like, you're gonna be the same people that you're talking about. So I just want them to stop talking and just hoop at this point, and just play, and don't pretend to be a thug. That's all. I don't like you got a whole kid. You got I think the tweet I saw was like, how are you pretending to be a thug and you're worth $200 million? Like, sir, like, just play basketball. And yeah, it's a lot.
right.
Yeah, man. Like, if you want to talk, that's cool, but you gotta be prepared for what comes back when you're not backing it up. you can't have it both ways. And I don't understand why these people don't realize that. Like, if you're gonna pop off at the mouth, it is what it is, man. But when the results ain't matching the words, then people gonna talk about it. Just like they talk about it if you doing well. So if you don't want to be in the spotlight, don't put yourself in the spotlight, or just let what happens on the court speak for you. But once you start getting the megaphone, it's in the atmosphere, and it is what it is. Like, I don't feel sorry for him one bit. You bringing that heat on yourself, So, and I mean, you lost 8 games in a row. Like, people are allowed to say you're not playing well. If you can't, if you can't take that level of criticism, like, what you want them to say after you lost that many games in a row? Like, so, yeah, man. Don't. People always want to be boisterous in the center of attention when things are going well, and then just want everybody to ignore when it's going the other way. World don't work like that, partner. So start winning again, or take back everything you said, shut up, put your head down until you get right. But that toothpaste out the tube now, it's too late. You can't put it back in. You put a target on your back. Gotta live with it.
Yeah, like for me, I mean the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. It's always been like that. The real move is silence. You know what I'm saying? And they gotta learn that. It just speaks to how a lot of these youngins view themselves. It's like they think everything's supposed to cater to how they feel whenever they feel it. And like Ray said, the world just don't work like that, man. It just doesn't. Listen, the reason why people are talking about you because there were high expectations coming this season where you possibly can get to the finals, possibly win it. You have a team. It's just a matter of like will y'all take that leap. So you lose 8 games in a row, people gonna talk about it. Just like the defending champs, they're hovering around 500. They've been getting talked about since the season began. Honestly, you see what I'm saying? Where on the other hand, the rest of the team that we cover, there were no expectations. So when they lose 8 in a row, just like we weren't thinking about them anyway. Just being real. So that comes with it. Look, if you man enough to stand up in the interview, will sit there in the interview, talk all that noise when things are going well, be man enough to take the L when you not winning. That's just part of it. And real leaders and real dogs, they change all that. Like I remember Steve Kerr was talking about, man, when I was with the Bulls, if we lost 2 games, next practice was like life or death. Like Mike and Pip ain't play that. They didn't play that, so they got on it. They look, even if they were winning, they weren't playing well, but they felt like things can seep in to possibly disrupt the team and cause a losing streak. Yo, Phil, we don't need no day off. We need to practice. We're not playing well enough. It was just like that. That's how you win 6 and don't lose. And that's what you're trying to aspire to be. Y'all got a good chance. Y'all got a good young mom. You got a great coach. But at this point, it need to be less talking and more doing, man. And until it gets to that point, people want to talk about you greatly. You know what I mean? Until you change the narrative, and then also stop with the antics on the court. You know what I'm saying? Like right now in your season, the most memorable part of your season so far is the Shannon Sharp stuff. It ain't even a Ja Morant play. You know what I'm saying? It ain't none of that. It's nothing basketball related. It's foolishness. You see what I'm saying? So you gotta refocus. You know what I'm saying? We've seen a whole lot of young teams before the Clippers. I'll do you one better. When we was growing up, the Portland Trailblazers had all that talent. All that. They were far more talented than the Lakers. Far more talented than the Lakers. And this is with Shaq and Kobe bumping heads all the time. And you still couldn't get them. You couldn't even challenge them, dog. They would play with you. The Kings had to come out of nowhere and really challenge the Lakers and stuff during that time. And then look what happened. A lot of those, they blow it up. A lot of those dudes became role players. She luckily bounced back with the Pistons and stuff. But a lot of those guys, they never really got back in the mix no more. You see what I'm saying? So the league changes quick, man. And that's why I don't think like Ja and those young guys, Dylan Brooks especially, man, I don't think they understand that, man. Like when the owners hit that button, as Wilson called it, and players get moved and they start looking at the draft and drafting guys and stuff to replace you, it gets real. It gets real. Things change. So, look, man, I hope they don't think like where they are now that the security is forever. It's not that, because sooner or later the owner, the front office, they get tired, like blow this thing up and start over. We're not going anywhere. You get stagnant. That's exactly what happened in Clipperland. Last question. Look, man, obviously he's on the Cubs. He's 36 points away. You're breaking the record. LeBron James, I'm talking about tonight, which I honestly, with the opponent they have, I expect him to get it. I'm not going to ask about the tired GOAT question because I'm tired of that. But I just want to ask you guys, with him definitely going to break the record. If not tonight, then Thursday against the Bucks. What does this feat do for you individually when you think of the career of LeBron James? Back on you, Octavia.
I mean, I'm going to be honest. It is what it is. Like, I won't say I expected it, because a lot of us, if nobody really expected for anybody to touch Kareem. I think it's kind of weird for myself just because I never really equated LeBron as like a knockdown scorer. So to see him actually get to this feat is pretty astonishing for him. I mean, I don't think it changes his legacy. I think his legacy was going to be what it was even if he didn't touch this, to be completely honest. He's one of the greatest to do it. As much as we talk about him and everything, I can never discount, the type of player that he is. That's pretty much all I got. I'm not a huge LeBron stan, so it's just congratulations. It's a great accomplishment, and wish you the best.
Right.
Yeah, I feel pretty much the same, man. It doesn't change anything for me in regards to him. Even if he didn't eclipse this, what he's already done speaks for itself. One of the greatest to play the game, hands down. So, I mean, it's definitely historic. And I once Mike and Kobe weren't able to do it, I just I just seceded to the fact that nobody was going to break this record. But here we are. He's 36 points away. So that's definitely a great historic accomplishment. But in terms of just in regards to him individually, I mean it doesn't change anything for me. What he's already built up to this point, establishes his legacy, and at this point it's just it's just piling on. Even though it definitely don't want to diminish what an accomplishment this is, because that's a lot of damn points. But he's already cemented as one of the greatest. So it'll just be nice to physically see it and his name move up to that number one spot.
Wilson.
The first thing that jumps out to me, one is a big accomplishment, but longevity. Just think of when I think about him, it's longevity. You gotta give him credit for year 20, right? Keeping your body in that type of shape that long, just to be able to be out there and hit, to reach that milestone, you got to play for a while. It means like someone we mentioned early, you can't take multiple days and months and weeks and years off. But yeah, for me, this is the first thing that comes to mind is longevity. And obviously, I think for me, does it change anything with his legacy? Not really. I think longevity was big for me with him. And then, he's one of the greatest players to ever play. But for me, it's not one of those things where it changes my life like it appears to have done for some folks on social media. And it doesn't tilt that much for me. To me, it's longevity, which, again, shouldn't anything be taken away. And also, I'm not going to lie, I hate to be that person. It makes what Kareem did, even stupid more impressive, because he didn't – the three-point shot wasn't part of his arsenal to be there. That just wasn't it. And of course, we can get into all types of different reasons, what have you. But, yeah, the freedom movement stuff, all that stuff, that stuff's in my mind. So it doesn't – I'm happy that I'm alive to see this happen. Like other feats, been happy to see in sports when people broken records, because obviously it's a historic milestone, but it's not it probably doesn't shift or tip the scales for me the way it might for some or the masses, maybe. But yeah, just for me, just longevity.
Yeah, for me, a couple things. One thing, since we kind of the same age and we were coming up the same time, when you would hear through basketball circles that he was not only working out with the NBA guys at the time, the Antoine Walkers and all that, because Oakley took him under his wing, but he had access to Jordan and Tim Grover and stuff like that. The thing I respect about him that a lot of young players don't do, especially when they highly as talented as him, especially during that time when they had a chance to go to the league, he listened. He took the game. He had access to Tim Grover, to me, the greatest strength and conditioning coach of all time. Bill Jordan, Kobe, all those guys, D. Wade, and all those guys up physically. He had that as a junior in high school, where a lot of us, when we didn't really get on the regimen until we were in college. So that's how you go from being 6'7", 6'8", 210 to by the time you get to the league, you 6'8", 240, and you bigger than damn near every other wing. He was ready to go from jump. And then I remember when reports came out that he was putting $2 million a year into his body, and I was like, that's dope, that's smart. Because guess what? That $2 million a year, let's say for 20 years, that's $40 million. Fine. I mean, I'm not 40, but 20 million. I mean, yeah, 40. 20 times that's 40. That's great, but that turned into $1 billion over a career. Now think about if he didn't do that, his career could have possibly tapped out. Now, yeah, we gotta be real. It's similar to the Tom Brady. Half his career, he didn't endure the same resistance as, say, the Jordan and Kobe's, where they were getting beat up. Even Kareem's is, to me, even more impressive because my man was playing center. He literally had to get beat on to slow that man down. That's why he developed the damn skyhook with range, so it preserved him. So that tells you about how smart he is, how cerebral he is, and about his peak physical conditioning. Because they didn't have the resources that they do now. At their disposal and stuff like that, man. And he played 4 years of college on top of that, man. So it's incredible what he's done. And that's my thing with him also, is that I tell youngers, I'm like, man, listen to the OGs. OGs that know what they're talking about. Like, listen, don't, like, a lot of youngers these days, they got this thing like, y'all, this air shit. I'm like, dog, basketball is basketball. Get the information so you can get better. And he took the information and applied it. And that's why he's withstood a lot longer than a lot of people that we came in with. Now, he ain't the only one. Iguodala our age, he's still hanging on and stuff. But look at all his peers. They all gone. You know, he pretty much the last one standing. I mean, Chris Paul's still there from the 03 class. There ain't many left, man. You know what I mean? So, and you see how Chris Paul's looking. You know what I'm saying? So, look, man, kudos to him. It's a hell of a feat. I wasn't one of those guys that didn't think it could be broken. I knew Jordan would do it because the punishment he took, and then him playing college. Kobe, because, you know, he got off to a slow start early in his career, having to pay dues, being the first guard. I thought, like, kind of when LeBron class came in, one of those guys would have it. And really the person that really I thought would have it, and possibly will, is Kevin. You know, I think Kevin got a good shot because I saw what Dirk did, and Dirk wasn't half as athletic as Kevin, but they both world-class shooters, and they both around 7 feet tall. So I think if he just keep loving the game and stay healthy, I think he'll have a long shot because the jump ain't going nowhere. Like, KD be 45, still hitting threes and stuff like that. He may not be able to wiggle on guys and whatnot, but I still think he could do that down if he chose to, and if he's healthy enough to do so. So I think, and then like I said, with the freedom of movement, you're gonna probably see more players piling up points crazy and getting in sooner. You know what I'm saying? That like Luka is breaking all LeBron's records right now early on, even though he said, look, I ain't gonna be playing that long. I'm just keeping it real. You know what I'm saying? But they say that now. We'll see what happens later, man. But look, man, great feat. Hopefully he break it and break it tonight, so we can get back to basketball. I'm really looking forward to that. But man, salute, man. Ain't no hater. But like you said, like all of you said, it changes nothing. Top 5 dead or alive, whatnot. Just icing on the cake.
Yeah, and that's where we're going to end it. Again, thank y'all for tuning in this week. We appreciate it. Next week, we'll be talking about, the aftermath of the Super Bowl. So Octavia, we'll see how you feel. We'll know what type of mood you'll be in late Sunday night.
You mean you might not.
Man, you've been threatening that all year.
I know, right? It was one game that it happened. It was really bad. And then we just happened not to be here. So that worked out. So I think that was like my 1 week off.
All right, look, since we weren't here, technically it worked out in your favor. Just a reminder, each and every week, you guys know where to find us at. Wednesday mornings, 9:30, between 9 and 9:30 a.m. Just go on our Roku channel. If you have Roku television device, in the search box, type in the Focus TV, double tap OK. You add our channel. Obviously, you get this, which are our weekly show every Wednesday, and then also things like Wizards Outlook, Mystics Outlook. Anything else that we add to the channel, you guys will have access to. And then Fridays, for those of you that watch on DCTV, at 10 p.m. and then Saturday at 4:30 p.m. again on DCTV, be outside the area. Look, it's real simple. Just go to dctv.org. You're still able to stream the show there live. I want to thank you guys for tuning in once again. Follow the Focus TV, all your social media mediums. We'll see y'all soon. Have a good one.